has refused to go away, and I doubt it will, depending on where you look at it. On one hand, the Deputy President says it was a clean deal, though illegal initially, but trying to correct it. But whether that question will go away is a question for another day, Yvonne.
Yeah, and he chose to address it quite substantively, again, on foreign soil,
yeah.
Again, with foreign journalists who may or may not have, the right context to sort of go into it. Let's listen to what he had to say.
For your information, Weston Hotel was bought illegally. Not bought illegally. In fact, for the record, the National Land Commission has made a finding that Weston was an innocent purchaser for value from somebody who got it illegally.
Linus, this Weston question, do you have an answer?
The Deputy President said Weston is a big story, and I think I agree with him. It's been a very intriguing story, because even the media itself has never quite cracked the trail, because now the Deputy President is talking of acquiring it as an innocent party. Basically saying he's not the party that did any wrongdoing. Whoever acquired it first is the person that should be explaining. But it's interesting how there are comparisons in this story, and that of Adrian Muteshi, the farmer in Rift Valley,
Yeah.
who was involved in a big case with the Deputy President over some 100 acres of land.
IDP.
And the argument by the defense team in court was that Adrian Muteshi was not the owner of that land. It was some lady called Yator. So again, the fault is everybody else's. But I think this is the closest the Deputy President has ever gone to explaining Weston. More importantly, the farthest has ever gone to actually stating clearly that I own this facility.
Yeah.
But the land that is in question is about 0.773 hectares. The land where that is in dispute, the land where Weston Hotel sits. And it initially belonged to the Kenya Civil Aviation Authority, KCAA. I'm trying to read here about what the saga is around it, about it. Then in January, the National Land Commission released some findings and confirmed that, yes, this land belongs to KCAA. But then the same NLC said that the Deputy President could keep the hotel but pay KCAA at market value so that they can find an alternative land to build its headquarters. That was the original land that KCAA was supposed to build its headquarters. But now this one is a bit, raises questions about how we usually deal with the land that is said to be illegally acquired. Yeah. How many instances of tinga-tinga, bomoa that we see, that land that is supposed to have been illegally acquired?
Couldn't they have been dealt with the same way?
Yes, could they have been dealt with the same way?
Okay. But I think also we have to understand the political import of this entire thing. I think if Weston Hotel, let's face it, belongs to a certain random Kamau something or Tieno Nyango son or Odhiambo somewhere, just some random Kenyan somewhere whose backgrounds we are not even sure about, the conversation will be different, because there is a good saying about, in the good book about to whom much is given, much is required. That means that when you hold a certain position, just like they say of Caesar's wife, the level of scrutiny becomes a little bit higher. So there's a sense in which people are also looking at this through the prism of general accountability that is expected of people in certain positions. And I think I'm not even sure how the legal argument goes about at what level do you lay the blame, as it were, if there have been successive events of illegality, because here he's saying Weston was an innocent buyer of something that turns out later on, after the fact, to have been illegal, and so he said they're trying to regularize it. But I think that the bigger question here, from a political standpoint, from leadership standpoint, will actually come down to that, the sort of standards that we have set. What is the threshold that to which we hold the leaders that are in positions or are seeking positions, that if there's a whiff of impropriety, illegality anywhere, what is the reaction of people who are in positions of leadership? That's something we have never conclusively addressed as a country, and I think cases like Weston bring it to the fore that much more powerfully.
Expand the discussion a little bit, Yvonne. you see, there are very many parcels of, pieces of land that are owned by the public institutions, parastatals, and so on and so forth, that are in the hands of private citizens, guys who are connected back then, and probably even now. And so there's also a question of, if so-and-so has, why not me?
Right, right.
So many pieces. I mean, you've had, that parcel of land belonged to Posta.
Yes,
that parcel of land belonged to a police
Railways.
station, belonged to railways, and so on and so forth. And
It's on a land that's supposed to be a road or something.
Yes.
and probably
Or the
national
99 years lease has
As
expired.
expired,
yeah.
or
right,
this,
yeah.
and this now invites the National Land Commission, because that's also another scandal, big one.
Right.
Their time is ending, but I think being the first team at the National Land Commission, there's a big problem there. I mean, how they have not been able to execute their mandate in terms of getting back those parcels of land that belong to the public, but are now being enjoyed by private citizens who are well connected.
And I think that's the indictment because their term ends next week.
Yes.
But it's just this decision does it set a precedent? So first of all, if indeed, as the Deputy President says, he bought it innocently from the previous owners, who are the ones who then committed the illegality, then we would expect that the NLC would be going after them, if that is indeed the case for that. But what sort of precedent does it set? Could others have been given the opportunity, to pay back the money but still keep the land and the building on which, on which the land stands? So some issues there. I mean, I think in terms of what precedent that decision by the National Lands Commission makes. But also, it was interesting, again, that it looks like he's trying now, by just revealing a little bit more, to clean up this whole Weston mess before 2022. Like, just have it out there and put this matter to rest over the next couple of years. Yeah, this early, so that by 2022, it becomes a non-issue.
Sort
of like Uhuru and the title land. Remember? He said, willing buyer, willing seller.
Athambogo on Twitter says the law of contract states that you cannot sell what you don't have, so you cannot claim innocence buying from an illegal owner. And he says Weston is a fraud and should be reversed.
Okay.
Talking about reversal.
That closes that, yes.
Talking about reversal, there was an attempt by the former Vice